Guys, welcome into Football Crazy. We got a tweet last week saying no expense spared when it came to our set. So we decided to upgrade.
Yep.
How'd you like our new digs now, huh?
Check this out.
Not
How
too
do you
shabby.
like it? Just shows, though, that we do listen to our listeners.
Indeed. We've got a busy show. Broadcaster voice, you ready?
Go.
Welcome into Football Crazy. Coming up on the show, the Ronaldo-less Real Madrid era has begun.
The Messi magic of Barcelona continues.
Madness in Manchester.
Kylian is killing it.
And it was a big weekend for the Venezuelan Viper.
Let's get started in La Liga. Have you set the timer today? Because we keep talking for too long, so
Yeah.
we're going to try and stay to within
The
our times
waffleometer.
today.
Waffleometer has started.
It's
15 minutes
on.
as of right now. Go.
All right, La Liga. And that's not just 15 minutes, by the way. And I know I'm wasting time telling you this. It's 15 minutes per segment. So we're going to start in La Liga. La Liga is back. Real Madrid are back under a new coach, Julian Lopetegui. And it was all very positive at the Santiago Bernabeu on Sunday night. Obviously not the best start to his reign in the fact that they lost to Atleti in the Super Cup. But things looking a lot better. Getafe, the visitors, 2-0 the score. Dani Carvajal with the first goal of the season in La Liga for Real Madrid. That's usually Gareth Bale's job. He'd had it for the last 3. He was involved, though. He did get the second. And there were lots of positive signs. Real Madrid's possession, 78%, the highest since they took on Levante in the 05-06 season. So you can see that there's an identity and there is a style that Lopetegui is trying to imprint on this team. Toni Kroos completed 98% successful passes as well, and that's the highest of any Real Madrid player in any game with 100 plus passes since also the 05-06
And way past his
season.
bedtime as well, which is
Way past his bed.
bedtime.
That's like you
That's
playing mid.
impressive.
That's like Des playing midfield, by the way, guys. 119 passes in the game, 117 completed.
yeah. Me and
Absolutely
Toni
remarkable.
Kroos exactly the same.
Exactly
Exactly
the
the
same.
same.
Yeah.
Exactly the
Now
same.
you say way past his bedtime, and it's something you asked me, Kev. What was it?
Well, there was a big issue with the attendance at the Bernabeu. Roughly half the stadium full for the opening game of a Real Madrid season. And I looked at that, and straight off the bat, you'd say, what is going on? Is it the sale of Ronaldo? Is it Zidane's departure? Is it the lack of sexiness about Real Madrid at the moment? Julian Lopetegui, the disgraced manager from the World Cup. What is it exactly? And you've come up with many reasons to support the reason why there
Well,
was half the stadium.
Desi could probably back me on this as well, having lived in Madrid also. First of all, nobody from Madrid is usually in Madrid in August.
I can attest to that.
Yep, the
Yeah, it's
streets
a
are pretty
ghost
much empty, and it's great if you're someone who is an expat or from out of town there at that time. Not if you're a tourist, because not much is going on, but you kind of feel like you have the city to yourself. So a lot of people will have still been away, and that will have included Real Madrid fans as well. Secondly, it is often hard to get bums on seats past 10 p.m. at
And
night.
those who are in Madrid, it's Festivo season, so they're all partying with their neighbours.
So that's another
know?
one.
Well,
And also, late games right now will not go on forever. So you're getting them probably here in North America, some of them, the last games of the day, around 4 p.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. Eastern. That's not going to continue. It's just that it's so hot across Spain right now that they play at this time of year the games just a little later. And then once the summer starts to subside a little bit, then the games go back to the normal time.
Which is unique in today's day and age, that they don't try and cash in on the money side of things and play a little bit earlier and bring in 80,000 people instead of giving the players a break and the fans a break. You don't see it too often. You certainly don't see it when you think about the conditions NFL players have to go through during the season. Major League Soccer, you could play in the afternoon in Houston on a Sunday, you know, in July or August, and it's horrendous.
I guess they're also competing with other leagues. It was Ronaldo's debut, which
True.
we'll get to later. So that's gonna directly conflict with their own ratings. And Premier League's obviously earlier. So I'm sure they're out to grab money.
How did you rate Gareth Bale's performance?
He was excellent, very good. I'm not taking too much away from it. Getafe were woeful. I thought they'd have more about them. Jose Bordalas is a bit of a slave driver by all accounts, but something's gone wrong
That's
in
the thing.
pre-season by the
He's
looks of things.
extremely intense as a coach, so that's another way of looking at it, though. If you go on the flip side, that it could have been they're usually a lot harder to break down than they were in this game. It's obviously early days. One thing that's come out today, though, is it does seem that Lopetegui's made his clearest statement yet, that they are focusing on La Liga. Many of us wondering if the league is a priority. It's not been seemingly Real Madrid's priority over the last 10 seasons.
No, Zinedine Zidane said last season he prioritises La Liga over the Champions
Said it. but
You
didn't
don't believe
look that
it?
way. Anyway, the
Okay.
League is the competition that tells you how good each team really is. Those words from Julian Lopetegui himself. So I think they've surprised a few, have Real Madrid after this game, and may continue to do so. But I'll stand corrected if it doesn't go too well as things go along.
So yeah, like I said, not much to take from that performance. Gareth Bale looking good.
Here's a question
I
for you.
suppose for me the question mark hangs obviously between the sticks. Who's gonna start there? But also midfield.
Well,
It looks set that it's going to be Asensio, Bale, Benzema up top unless something drastic happens between now and transfer window shutting. But midfield, there's like 3 spots available and 4 world-class players to fill them.
let's go back to goal for a second, because Thibaut Courtois went further than Keylor Navas in the World Cup, so got that extra little bit of a break afterwards. Are we to read into it and say that it's simply because of that rest that Thibaut Courtois maybe isn't match fit and that's why he's on the bench, or is Keylor Navas the number 1? What do you think?
I don't know. Okay, I'll let you feel that one first.
There's still not too much answering it, saying it's a good problem to have. We've got 2 great keepers, but there's a sense and a feeling from everyone that Courtois will soon make his spot. If that's going to happen, and if they've decided that's going to happen, all I hope is that it's done in the least damaging way to Keylor as possible, because I don't want them to wait for Keylor to make some big mistake and then drop him and then
Which
bring
is what
in
Ray
Courtois.
Hudson predicts
I
will
don't
happen.
like that idea at all. I don't want that to happen.
I mean, the fact it was only a few days ago they lost in dramatic fashion to Atleti in the Super Cup. Didn't look great there. I'm not just Keylor, but Real Madrid as a whole were a bit abject.
Yeah, and no Varane.
Looked sleepy.
It was Nacho and Ramos in this game as a centre-back pairing, and it was a clean sheet as well. Just to go back to Gareth Bale, of his last 11 shots on target, he scored 8 goals. 8
Wow.
and 8, yeah. So he is focused and on fire right now.
Up to K. Up to K, embrace it, enjoy it. Up to K comes out with some absolute classics each and every week, and Up to K will give us another gem as we move across to Barcelona, who pick up a big win. Leo Messi, go on K, take it away.
Lionel Messi scored Barcelona's 6,000th Liga goal, and just to let you know, he also scored their 5,000th as well. So they knew that the next goal for Barcelona was going to be number 6,000 in La Liga. What a way to mark it, though. From
By the way,
man
over
Messi.
10 years ago. That 5,000 goals over 10 years ago, and in the meantime, he scored 337 of those next 1,000 goals.
Is it? I thought
Up
it
to
was, I think it's
Kev,
about
holy
nine
moly.
and a half years.
9.5 years, was it?
Yeah.
He's
Quite-
been involved
yeah.
in over it's
It's near close to-
460 odds.
Yeah, close to 500, but he scored 337.
Oh my goodness! Since then.
I mean, come on, seriously.
But what about this one? Free kick under the wall. That's how he marked
Ray
it.
Hudson lost it. Absolutely lost it. It was special. Messi's Messi, and Suarez. You could see the reaction of Lionel Messi on the 3rd goal and Messi's 2nd goal to wrap things up in stoppage time. It was Suarez that played the ball over the top. It wasn't exactly a great ball, but Messi somehow controlled it, somehow tucked it away with ease, and then immediately looked for Suarez, looked for his buddy to give him a little bit of the credit, because he's going to need Suarez to produce earlier in the season.
Yeah, we had an editorial meeting this morning. People were making the point that Barcelona are too reliant on Messi. I mean, it's impossible not to be when someone's that good. But I think that's to discredit the rest of his teammates. I mean, we watched him this summer with Argentina. He does need good players around him. He does need a system in place. And Barcelona do look like they have a lot of depth and a lot of
quality
depth
all
all
over.
over.
It's their most expensive bench ever right now. I
Yeah.
think it's like 294 million euros on the bench. And it actually will really help them because...
Listen to the bench
Go
for a
on,
sec.
go
Right?
on.
They've got Silicon in goal, top class. Clement Longley, who they just brought in for $41 million. Arthur, who they just brought in from Brazil. Arturo Vidal, Philippe Coutinho, Rafinha, and Malcolm. Are you having a laugh?
Well, yes, so there you go. And that was one of the problems last year, is that you got the sense that he was short of solutions and continued to play what he had as his favoured 11, Ernesto Valverde. And so there were some who said maybe the players were too tired and that's why they didn't have the run that they should have had in the Champions League. Well, now he can rest some players and he won't have to worry too much about tired legs because he's getting world-class players in every position. Very expensive bench, so that looks good for them. You mentioned Coutinho on that bench, didn't start this one, did come off the bench
Beautiful
and
goal.
score though as well.
I have to ask you about one other player. I need to get the grade from you guys. Ousmane Dembele. That's the
his
chant.
song now.
It is. That's his song of Barcelona. What do you think? How do you play? Dembele.
He was
Because
all right.
We're looking for that X factor. We're looking for him to go to another level.
Yeah, I suppose he didn't wow me as much as others, but he was hardly terrible. I'm sure there's
He's
more
not
to
wowing
come.
you though. He's going to get out of the team because that bench
I know
is
the
strong.
competition is stiff in that squad, but he's still young. I don't think he's going to be a fixed, locked on name on the team sheet like the likes of Messi or Suarez.
Alaves were actually the last team to beat Barcelona at the Camp Nou in La Liga 2 years ago. Yeah, not this time.
To keep dropping. We need to get an Opticase, something on the soundboard.
Yeah, I will always tell
Some
you
form of
fun
Opticase.
random facts from Spain and good stats.
Exactly.
Well,
at the time of recording,
we're racing the waffleometer, so
the waffleometer is currently at 5 minutes and 5 seconds to go.
Alright,
So at the time of recording, guys, Atletico Madrid and Valencia and Atletico Madrid at Mestalla has not kicked off yet. That's 2 teams from the top 4 last season. But to whip through the last couple of minutes.
Nor has Athletic Leganes, and I'm just putting a
Correct.
proposal out there today to have Leganes as the adopted team of Football Crazies pod. Can
What's
we
your
have
reasoning?
A vote?
What's your reasoning?
check her timeline.
Okay, my reasoning. Yeah, check my timeline first of all.
On
They
Twitter.
are the Cucumber Growers. They've got a fun, cool name. They've got a female president. They've got a great marketing campaign. They make funny posters every week trolling their opponents. They're in the capital. They're in Madrid. They have a very good English-speaking account, so you can follow them very easily, even if you don't speak Spanish. They have a Barca starlet now on their books in Arnaiz, so he's going to be worth watching this season.
give
So
him a follow
can
right
we
now.
have a vote, please?
I'm in on the
I'm
Leganes
down
train.
for it, yes.
All right.
A
So
cucumber basket,
Leganes, the
please.
official team of the Football Crazy Pod.
All
Nice
right,
one,
we're
guys.
on it, on it.
All right, move.
That was,
Andre
a bit,
Silva.
that was a bit awkward. I went to give you a high five and you shook my hand. That was very awkward. And the fact that we're on video now, everyone saw it. Like,
You know, we always say Kev's a bit of a dad as well.
Yeah, it's like-
we're trying to be cool.
what are you gonna do?
Andre Silva definitely didn't look as uncool at the
Best
weekend,
eyebrows
did he?
in world football. We need to say it like
Top
that.
scorer in
Andre
La
Silva,
Liga.
Andre Silva of the best eyebrows in world football.
All right.
That's how it needs to follow.
Stefan El Shawari. That's a rival. They are well groomed. But
They
anyway,
are,
that-
but
that's-
Andre
that's
Silva's are
a-
natural, man. They're
okay.
natural.
Maybe best
and-
in
you and
La
I could
Liga,
only
I'll
dream.
give him that.
He is the top scorer in La Liga right now. Got a hat trick on his debut.
Indeed, he did. Yeah, looked clinical, but Rayo looked like the Rayo of old, as if they were. It was Paco Gemes at the helm, and they were playing Barcelona, Real Madrid. They were terrible at the back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sevilla, are we rating them? Are they?
I think they're going to be good under Machín, because if you remember Machín with Girona, he would force other teams to kind of adapt to his system
Correct.
when they were playing against him. So if he's now got a team with the budget and the players of his disposal and a bigger team like Sevilla to deal with, then they're going to be worth watching. If he can get the best out of Andre Silva, which it looks like he's going to, because you did feel that at Milan he just needed a bit more time. He needed a bit more of an arm around the shoulder, and it wasn't happening for him there.
Yeah. There's no Patrick Cutrone there
no.
to unsettle him.
No Catrone.
Do you want to go back to Friday for a sec?
Yeah, because the league did kick off. The
Oh,
league that launched
man.
1,000 goals kicked off with a goalless game.
So each and every week here on Football Crazy, all last season certainly, all we did was wax lyrical about Real Betis. And on the extra, I know I was going out of my way to say, guys, you have to watch Betis, one of the most exciting teams in Europe. They get walloped at the Benito Villamarín, first game of the season against Levante, and the hidden gem in world football comes up big time again with a brace. Jose Luis Morales. If you get a chance, he's been named captain this year for Levante, top class player.
And
Yeah,
an absolute
top-class
golazo.
goal. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Well, one of them.
Maradona-esque.
Yeah.
Wonderful
He got a lucky
stuff there.
deflection on the way in.
Villarreal, mistakes on their game cost them. Gave Real Sociedad their first win away in Villarreal since 2006. But you have got Gerard Moreno at Villarreal now.
Love
He
him.
scored
Love
the
him.
opening goal for them. So picking up where he left off with the form that he was in at Espanyol.
William Jose as well on target.
Yeah, if he stays though, because that's been the big question right now. If he's happy and if he stays, obviously there's still a little bit of time to go in the transfer window, but he was on the score sheet too. So Real Sociedad getting a win there, and Huesca, the newly promoted side, the new Cinderella story,
Yeah.
fittingly went to Iparua to play against Eibar, who'd always been tiny Eibar to us. Tiny but mighty.
Yeah.
And it's Huesca who come away with the win in this one, and Alex Gallard becomes the first player to score a brace in a first half on his La Liga debut in the 21st century.
Up to K. Up to K.
Can you fit that into 270 characters?
Probably couldn't. That's probably why I didn't tweet it.
Oh man, that is unbelievable.
But it must be. It's a good inspiration from A-Bar for Huesca. This is my sheets from the weekend.
Like it's just non-stop.
For Huesca to go to A-Bar and play their first game in the top flight, that's got to be a huge inspiration for them when you see everything that A-Bar have managed to do and the splash they've managed to make in the top flight.
5 seasons in the top
Guys,
flight.
we're about 30 seconds away from the bell ringing here. So, Atletico Madrid-Valencia hasn't kicked off yet. Should we make a fool of ourselves by doing a quick prediction? It's at Mestalla. Go for it.
I'm going to go Atleti 2-1.
I'm going to go for a Valencia win, just to make it interesting.
I'm going to go Valencia win too.
Right.
Even though I've picked Atletico Madrid to win the league, what am I doing? What am I doing? No, I'll sit on the fence
after
then.
their display in the Super Cup.
I'll go Batshuayi to come off the bench. I think he's going to start on the bench
Didn't Pep Guardiola win the treble after losing the first game at Barcelona?
He did.
There you go. So you never know.
In fact, he won 6 trophies that year. In his debut campaign at Barcelona, Pep won 6 trophies. We have nailed this. Ready for it?
Yeah. That's it.
Now press start again because it's time to move to part 2 and talk about the Premier League and Ligue 1.
We're up and running. Off we go.
Let's just dive right into it. So there's a club by the name of Manchester United. Have you heard of them?
Where do we start? Do we want to just
took
forget
up a lot
about the
of our
result
time
and talk about Pogba
last week
and his comments?
Go on
Okay, so let's jump off with a World Cup winning Paul Pogba.
All right, so United, they lose the game by 3-2 against Brighton Hove Albion. Huge credit to Chris Hughton. They go and get the job done. Murray on target. Go on, Murray. High five this time. Don't shake my hand. And they played brilliantly, but Manchester United were just lackluster in every way again. I feel like on Football Crazy, we seem to say the same things about this Jose Mourinho-led side. Paul Pogba afterwards said, and I may be paraphrasing here a little bit, about the mentality wasn't there, essentially. The attitude wasn't right.
He said the attitude wasn't right. That's exactly what he said.
And I've gone back and forth on this comment, wondering, should he say that? Wondering...
He said my attitude wasn't
right. Yeah. And I actually admire him for saying that. I admire him as captain of the team right now to come out and say that. And another way of looking at it is that it deflects away from Jose Mourinho, because if he doesn't say that, Mourinho's the one getting hammered. All those images of Ed Woodward up in the crowd watching, Mourinho's the one getting destroyed. Instead, we're all focusing on Pogba. How do you feel?
I don't know. I think Mourinho deserves what he gets. He's complained all summer long about no transfers coming in. Fair enough. He got Fred and a couple of others.
A lot.
However, his 2 centre backs, Eric Bailly and Lindelof, started. Looks like they met each other for the first time.
Yeah.
And a former Real Madrid defender, Gary Neville, has also described them as second fiddle defenders.
Lads, Eric Bailly's defending for that first goal and the penalty. The first goal and the penalty, just abysmal. If you haven't seen it, guys, go check it out and just look at his positioning. Look how he gets dragged out of position. And obviously the fullback, Ashley Young, was out of position as well, but just really, really poor schoolboy stuff.
So he's asking if it's a few things right now. Are they just not good enough, or is it a lack of confidence, which is definitely something that could play a part, because we've heard all summer how Mourinho did want to bring in a new centre-back. We heard the centre-backs who were mentioned, but then in the other sense of it, he is also defending Mourinho and saying if he's identified players he wanted to bring in, and he hasn't got them, then he did know that there might be a problem there. And I know Gary Bailey, former Manchester United, had just said, well, he's brought these in, he's bringing players in himself and then asking for more players in that same position. But Gary Neville talks about having an authoritative figure at the back and just how important that is. And when you see so many centre-back pairings, there usually is that one who's more of a leader and more of the kind of boss of the defence. And he's saying that it's perhaps lacking that now in the back line at Manchester United.
You know, a long time has passed since Vidic and Ferdinand were dominant at the back for Manchester United, but that was under Sir Alex Ferguson. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left, I don't think any Manchester United fan has been happy with any manager for a long period of time. But when Sir Alex Ferguson left, David Gill also left at the exact same time. Ed Woodward has not impressed from what I've seen at Manchester United, even though in 3 summers, Jose Mourinho and Manchester United has spent over $500 million on signings. So how can you this is maybe ignorant of me from the outside, but how can you put the blame on Ed Woodward if you're given $500 million to spend and you still produce football like that and results like that? I mean, it's difficult. Maybe there's a lot going on the inside that we're not privy to and aware of.
We know Manchester United is not just a sporting entity, it's a huge multinational conglomerate. And on that end, Ed Woodward has performed miracles at the club. I mean, you can't fault him on the financial or commercial side of things. I think appointing Jose Mourinho and expecting anything other than what we're seeing now is that's where the blame lies with Ed Woodward. But he's not a sporting director. I mean, that's been proven. He's just collecting toys, and he doesn't really have, like, Jose Mourinho has a lot of strong points, but coaching and getting the best out of certain players isn't one of them.
Well, maybe more as his career's gone on, because it definitely was something he did a lot better with in his earlier career. I was actually listening to fans on BBC 606 last night. One of them said he stopped renewing his season ticket for the first time in, I think, 2 decades, because he's just so disillusioned with everything that's going on there, and that's really sad. Over on the other side of the city, though, things are going a lot better for Manchester City.
Let me just say real quick, Kate, that next up for Manchester United is Spurs. That is a massive game. If
at Old Trafford.
At Old Trafford on Monday week. If they this day next week. If they lose that game, he's already been said to be on the hot seat by a lot of people. If they lose that game, Jose Mourinho, may self-combust. I mean, he could be gone. Which is quite scary to think about earlier in the season.
You get the impression that he's resigned to leaving. He doesn't really care anymore.
In a similar way to Conte last year.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, Pogba's kind of come out and drawn his line in the sand. So yeah, it's strange times. And then, like you say, it's a complete opposite story.
So you wanted to talk, Des, about how Mourinho's a little bit upset about some comments that were made and the way that Manchester United were portrayed in the Manchester City All or Nothing documentary.
Oh yes.
Go.
So have either of you seen?
I'm watching it right now. It's excellent. Very
well produced. I don't know who put it together, but good job. So there was a pretty innocuous comment from Sir Ben Kingsley. We all know him.
The narrator, by the way, of this series that you can get on Amazon Prime.
So they're looking back on last season's achievements, of which there were many, including a Manchester derby, and it compared Pep's free-flowing style of football to Manchester United's. Park the bus was the phrase Sir Ben Kingsley used. Obviously, Jose Mourinho took exception to that and said you can't buy class.
And Pep responded, he's right. Maybe it shouldn't have been said like that. He's right, you can't buy class. So I just would like to put out there that even though it looked as though they were friends, even though it looked as though they were friends in those days of Barcelona and Real Madrid rivalry were behind them, and we saw them laughing about how they've grown up now and having fun on the sidelines now that they're at the Premier League. This is war. This is Pep versus Mourinho, Mark II. Mark my words. I cannot wait to see the war of words that will undoubtedly follow.
So Manchester City then with a big win. Sergio Aguero with a hat-trick, 6-1 against Huddersfield. Elsewhere in the Premier League, what else stood out? Harry Kane scoring in August was a big one, over 1,000 minutes. It's taken him to get to that level. And Chelsea edge past Arsenal. Maurizio Sarri's winning run continues. He left it late, didn't he? Marcos Alonso with the goal.
We started to see a little bit of Sarri ball, a little bit. Obviously dominating the possession in this one and getting another win. So after 2 games, it is 2 wins for them.
That was some game, that London derby.
Absolutely it was, because
could
obviously
have gone either way.
I think Unai Emery now losing both his opening 2 fixtures. He is the first permanent Arsenal manager to lose the 2 opening fixtures since 1897.
Yeah, but I can guarantee he's the first Arsenal manager.
But for
to
90 of those
years,
years, Arsene Wenger was a manager, so it's not really.
Yeah, but how many managers have managed the opening 2 games this season against the 2 previous Premier League winners?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a rough start.
And it is a rough start, and he does need to be given time, because the style of football he wants to play, you're going to have to let him have the time to get the players he needs in, and that's not an overnight. I think we mentioned this last week. That's the sake of a few, even more than 1 or 2 transfer windows, to be bringing these players in, to be playing the style of football that he wants to do. He's looking for his first points against West Ham next week.
Really quick note on David Silva's son, Matteo
Silva. So young Matteo Silva, you probably saw David Silva come out onto the pitch with his baby in his arms in this game. His little boy was born, I think, 25 weeks, extremely premature, has been in the hospital in Spain for 5 months and is now fit and well enough, as you saw him, gorgeous bouncing baby boy. coming out onto the pitch with his dad. Just absolutely wonderful to see. A wonderful player that his father is, from a wonderful family. Even when he was at Valencia, he had his dad, who was a police officer in the Canary Islands, from where they're from. He ended up being head of security at Valencia during his time there. Family's always been so important to him.
Nepotism.
And it was a big it was a big day for him as well, because it was his 250th appearance, was it?
It was.
Yeah, so
No,
it was a very special day, and to have baby Matteo in his arms, everybody loved to see that.
Right,
Yeah.
that's enough of the Premier League. We got to get going. We're on 5:45 left in this segment. We've got to get to Liga, where the title race could very well be over by now. Is that all right to say? I mean, Paris Saint-Germain with another win, Mbappe with a brace.
Huh? Are you saying that Paris Saint-Germain are going to beat Reims and Nîmes?
No, I'm saying it's going to be a tough one, Kay.
It's going to be a tough one, because you've got a few
Yeah.
teams there who've won both their opening
There's
games.
a lot of 100% records
There are.
in Liga.
Reims
By
and
the way,
Reims-
that Nîmes stadium, when they beat Marseille over the weekend, the 3-1, that Nîmes stadium is phenomenal. Great little
The
stadium.
Nîmes crest as well.
And
The crocodile.
the Nîmes story. So I got corrected on my pronunciation of Nîmes, and I would thank Nicholas C. on Twitter for correcting me on that one. Anyway, it is Nîmes, as
It's
we're all
Nîmes,
saying it.
okay.
And he said it's where the name denim comes from, de Nîmes. So denim comes from Nîmes, so it's Nîmes' fault that you wear jorts.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, Nîmes beat Marseille.
So what were you saying
3-1.
before you said Nîmes?
Nîmes, because I'd seen something on a
okay.
pronunciation thing, which is obviously somewhere else that I was looking at, or somebody had just trolled me and told me it wrong, because my Italian's decent, my Spanish is good, my French is terrible. So it was their first home game in the top flight in 25 years. They won and Reims won, and I just wanted to tell you this. It's a great tweeter who put this stat out there, Mitch Proctor on Twitter, Mitch Proctor _. Two newly promoted Ligue teams have spent a combined $12.5 million and have won both of their opening games. Three newly promoted Premier League clubs have spent a combined $244 million and have not won either of their opening games.
Wow.
Yeah, that's...
Well done. That's a great stat.
Yeah, that kind of encapsulates European football at the moment, doesn't it?
But yeah, if you do want to talk about PSG, feel free.
So Lyon slip up on Friday. They lose the game. PSG need. I was disappointed for Tim Weah. Didn't really perform well. Big chance for him starting that game. Then you've got Kylian Mbappe coming off the bench, scoring a brace. I hope it's not over. Monaco draw as well. And now all of a sudden you see the three teams that you want to see challenge PSG have all dropped points at this stage so early on in the season.
But on top of that, with Mbappe, as you say, coming on at half-time to score 2 goals in this one, and Ray Hudson was on the call for this, and he had to come up and tell us it's not just the goals. Like, watch the game again, watch everything he does, watch his positioning, watch how he brings other players into it. He's so special, is Kylian Mbappe.
And didn't Gary Bailey say on the extra that he's already surpassed Neymar as the third best player in the world?
He did.
That's quite the statement.
Yep.
A roasting hot take from
Gary,
Gary Bailey.
Gary's stirring the pot.
Well, Mbappe did say, like, Neymar allows me to be the player that I am at PSG and to do what I do there. Neymar got a penalty goal in this one. But it was his first competitive football for Mbappe in more than a month. And just looking brilliant. In fact, the first teenager since 1973 to reach 30 Ligue 1 goals. Yeah, another stat for you.
He's,
So where's Neymar going to go next to get away from someone's shadow?
No, they're going to be an
they
amazing
seem
pairing.
they look like a great pair. They enjoy playing football with each
So
other.
are Messi and Neymar.
And Mbappe's such a lovely, lovely young man that he treats Neymar with the correct amount of deference and respect.
Okay.
So I think Neymar, at least for another season, is going to stay put.
All right, fair enough.
How are we doing there on the
We're
waffleometer?
back-
Got a
we're
bit of room to
Waffleometer has
spare.
2 minutes, 20
Okay,
seconds.
well, let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what's going on with Gus Poyet at Bordeaux.
Poor old
Please
Gus.
do.
I felt sorry for him, by
Please
the way.
do.
Did you know what happened? He got a slap on the wrist. He didn't want a striker to be sold. The board went and sold him without even telling Gus Poyet. Gaetan, right, is the name of the striker. And
Yeah, Gaetan Laborde.
yeah, and he comes out and he's disgusted by it. And because he came out publicly and said it was a disgrace, they suspend him for a week.
Yeah,
You've
because
got to let your manager know you're going to sell someone.
exactly, and he said it's fine if you want to sell him, but you can't sell him until you've replaced him for me,
Yeah.
and then we can deal with this. So that's happened, and Bordeaux had the club physio take over again, which is what happened after Gourvenec was sacked. So I think it's Eric Bedouet. Correct me on my pronunciation of that, because as I've just told you, my French is awful. And Bordeaux lose, so that's 2 defeats in 2 for Bordeaux. And don't forget, it was Gus Poyet who turned it all around for them when he took over last season.
Really quick note before we move on from France. Paris Saint-Germain heavily linked with both Ivan Rakitic and Sergi Busquets at the moment. Now, there's a little bit of time to go. Exactly. You do your best Liam Neeson voice there.
I will find you, and I won't sign you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see that happening, but I do think if PSG are to take it to a next level in Champions League, they do need another midfielder of class. Because right now they've got Rabiot and Verratti, and they're relying on maybe Lastiara to play valuable minutes in big games. I don't think he's the
two players are being heavily linked with are Felipe Luis of Atletico Madrid. That looks
to where? PSG?
To PSG.
Why?
It looks done and dusted. Apparently he sees his time is up at Los Rojiblancos with Lucas Hernandez there. They have a few players on loan. He's not getting any younger.
But PSG is a step up from Atletico Madrid.
Apparently Thomas Tuchel has inquired.
Wow. Okay.
So that
doesn't seem like a PSG sign. Like Levin Kurzawa is such an attack-minded flair left back. That Felipe Luis is the absolute opposite. He's perfect fit for Atletico Madrid.
I disagree. I think Felipe Luis, much like Saul Niguez, is a bit inhibited by Cholo's style. I think he's
done one before, hasn't he? And then
he's done one before and came back with his tail between his legs.
No, that's why I thought
his
I thought he was found out at Chelsea for his.
Enough of that.
Just take a moment to appreciate it.
Time to move on to part 3.
Right. He was found out at Chelsea, came back and became a fixture, but now he's off to PSG. The other player PSG are heavily linked with.
Just because he's a fullback, look at you doing the old overlapping.
Jerome Boateng.
Yeah.
Looks like he could be marching out of Bayern Munich.
Okay.
An overlapping run there from Des Norris into part 3, which is all Serie A and Turkey. Cristiano Ronaldo making his debut for Juventus, and it was an absolute knockout. No, he literally did knock out the keeper, Stefano Sorrentino, when he went up to try and score, fractured his nose, put him in hospital. He had whiplash and a bruised shoulder, and he did tweet afterwards, Ronaldo didn't so much as brush me, he got the bullseye. So he didn't score, but he did knock the keeper out and break his nose.
Yeah, poor fella's in a neck brace. quite the image.
He obviously didn't mean it.
No.
Talk about Juve getting over the line, though. They left it late, didn't they?
They certainly did.
Well, they actually scored very early to begin with. It was the former Real Madrid man who scored the opening goal, Sami Khedira, in 3 minutes. So it looked as though, oh, here we go again. And then suddenly, no, Chievo came back.
I mean, yeah, the presence of Emre Can definitely inspiring
Khedira.
Sami to greatness.
Well, Chievo put themselves 2-1 up through a player who, again, we often say this on Football Crazy, if you add like chicken or meatballs before the second name, it sounds beautiful. You ready? Let's go with, give me a good Italian meat.
No, just do chicken.
Chicken.
It's the best one.
Chicken Giaccarini.
Perfect. Put the word chicken in front of any Italian name and it works.
It absolutely does.
Giaccarini put them ahead, won a penalty, scored the penalty. That made it 2-1 after Stepinski had already scored. Leo Bonucci back at Juve.
The hated
almost got a goal, but it was given as an own goal in the end, so it wasn't given to him. Header into the back of the neck. Anyway, it was an own goal. VAR decision when that Sorrentino moment happened. So the ball had crossed the line, so goal line technology gave the goal, and it would have been Mario Mandzukic goal, but because of the foul on the keeper in the build-up to the goal, the VAR took it away.
So this happened, I was calling the Atlanta United game at the weekend, and this happened yesterday, where there was a handball on Jeff Laurentowicz. Atlanta United broke, the referee waved it away, went up the other end, and Atlanta United scored. And the Columbus Crew players were all over the official, and we were saying this is the exact scenario that officials dread. Now, they didn't go to video review, and they waved it away, but the ball absolutely hit Jeff Laurentowicz's hand. The questions then come in, well, was he far enough away? Was the hand in a natural position? All that kind of stuff. But it is that horrible situation. And while we're on the topic of VAR, we didn't mention it. In La Liga, we saw video review introduced for a first time this past weekend. And on Friday, you had a situation where Sergio Canales was brought to ground. Real Betis were trailing. They needed to get back in the game. Antonio Luna brought him down. I thought it was a penalty. And they didn't even consult with video review. The referee didn't even give any signal like you see what referees do. It nearly felt like they forgot video review was there.
The same thing happened to Real Madrid yesterday. Asensio was egregiously shoved off the ball in the penalty area. And
maybe they haven't
nothing
set up
done.
video
In
review
the
yet.
Bernabeu.
And they're just afraid to let us know.
They spent enough time
They
in
did
the
not get a penalty decision.
So they spent enough time in the 88,000 or so seats there that weren't even full on the day, putting out the leaflets explaining how the VAR decision works, when it goes to VAR, the whole process of it.
The 4 pillars, what are they? Come on, folks, you know them. You're shouting them out right now. I know you are. Goals, penalties, red cards, mistaken identity. That's it.
All right, let's bring this back on track.
All right.
We
I felt like you were going to. I felt like you were going to say something when I said about that goal line technology moment, and I don't know if you were or not.
During the Juve game?
Yes.
No, I was just going to make the point, the Asensio point.
Right. Okay. So then there was a winner from Bernardeschi late on, 93rd minute, and then that was totally Juve. Finding a way to still win this game.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ruthless.
But just like over in France, guys, I wanted to see Marseille, Lyon, Monaco stick with PSG for a while. And in the build-up to this Serie A season, we were saying that Inter Milan...
Yeah.
What are you looking for the time?
Yeah, just looking where we are. Go on.
We've got. In the build-up to this game, we said that Inter Milan were probably the team to challenge Juventus this season. And then they go and lose to Sassuolo.
But there's more to that story.
Go on, Kaiser.
So Inter do not have a good time against Sassuolo. Going into the game, they had only won, or Sassuolo had won 4 of the last 6 encounters against them. 2 of the results on those wins for Sassuolo had been 3-1. And I know that you can say, oh, it's just a bogey team, it's just this, but you even ask, we've asked before in the locker room to Christian Vieri and many of our former players, is there such a thing as a bogey team? And he's like, yes, because it does start to get into your head. And when you're a new team that's still learning how to gel, coming into a brand new season, and you've got that as well to consider, it didn't work out well for them. It was just 1 goal in it, and it was a penalty for Sassuolo that gave them the win.
Do you reckon that's going to have any effect on Luka Modric's decisions over the next few weeks?
Well, it's done. I mean, the Serie A transfer deadline is come and gone. So that was last Friday. But the team itself, the Inter Milan team, is not impressive at the moment. You still have to bring back in key players that played in the World Cup. But when you look through that 11, there's no chance they're challenging the Juventus. On the bench, they had some quality. Obviously, someone like Perisic came into the game. Borja Valero, Condreva, Skriniar was on the bench too. I just don't see this Inter Milan 11 as a team now that can challenge without a Luka Modric and without some of the players that were linked to it.
Do you know who's gone to Sassuolo, just for a fun fact?
Okay, can you say the name right, please?
Sassuolo. Do you want to know who's gone there?
Who?
Kevin Prince Boateng.
Kevin the Prince.
Yeah.
Where has he not been?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how long he'll last.
Yeah, so Sassuolo have now won 5 of their last 7 against Inter. Uncle Carlo got off to a winning start against Lazio. Lazio against Napoli. Carlo Ancelotti now in charge at Napoli.
Do you know what I like about that, by the way?
Tell me.
You take out Jorginho, Hamsik seemed pretty seamless, didn't he? Slotting back in as that regista, as they say in Italy, spraying passes. He wants to prolong his career by playing a little bit deeper in front of the back 4, and he's the answer for Ancelotti there. And they still have class going forward, like Allen and Zielinski, and they can still roll it. And Milik scored. Good for Milik.
Well, then there's a big story in that, though, as well, with Milik, because Milik suits much more what Carlo Ancelotti wants to do, and he's gone for the more traditional forward with him now that he is available and he's fit, benching Mertens, which does put pressure on Milik, because obviously Mertens has been a crowd favourite. Milik has had those 2 really serious injuries that he's had to deal with as well. And so the pressure's on him to perform, and it's great to see that he did get a goal in this game. Wasn't as good as Ciro Immobile's opening goal, though, for Lazio.
Wow,
but what would have been?
Yeah, daylight robbery.
Just also showing, though, that goal he did mean last season when he scored one of the goals of the season, and people question whether he actually meant it. So, yeah, Milik did get on the score sheet. Insigne did too. And I saw this wonderful phrase of Sarlotti, where they're saying that Carlo Ancelotti won't change too much of what Sarri did. So they're calling it like Sarri-Lotti. Yeah.
Okay. I suppose a dampener for that game. Lazio Ultras at it again, handing out leaflets.
Oh, we're not allowed to sit with them, right?
Females from sitting in the front.
You're having a laugh.
In the front 10 rows at the Stadio Olimpico. So yeah, that's the kind of
2018.
That is the football and sexist equivalent of "you can't sit with us."
Well, can I just say, in your face, Lazio fans, we had the first ever all-female broadcast team on FS1. Huge credit to my dear friends. 2 of them are good friends of mine, Danielle Slayton and Lisa Byington, and Katie Witham involved as well, and they were absolutely phenomenal. So I know you won't like that, Lazio ultras, but they were brilliant, and yeah.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
And Dzeko with an 89th minute golazo, and it was a gorgeous volley as well. But the ball in for him came from a young man called Justin Kluivert, who really did impress for Roma on the day. Yes, it is Patrick Kluivert's son. Yes, he did pick Roma to try and take the next step in the development of his career. And if that game was anything to go by, then we're in for a treat.
Yeah, Roma also flirting with some other big names that they didn't quite bring in, but their team has balance. De Rossi and Strootman still in midfield. Pastore, hopefully we'll finally see the best of Javier Pastore, and if he can stay
Patrick
clear
Schick
of
as well,
injuries.
if he can,
Paddy does.
If he can start clicking.
Paddy Schick.
Paddy Schick, okay.
Yeah. Sassuolo, Paddy
Stick.
Schick. We need to get the names down here, guys.
Yeah, good opening weekend in the Serie A. Turkish Super League into its second weekend now, and we just want to give an honourable mention to the Galatasaray goal scorer. His name is Henry Onyekuru. He's 21 years old, a Nigerian forward, on loan from Everton. First goal for Galatasaray, and what a goal it was. Now, he'd had a long-term knee injury when he'd gone to Anderlecht, and so that had kind of dampened his progress there. So 9 goals in the 14 starts before that knee injury came, and to see him picking up where he left off, and to see that Galatasaray might just be a great fit for him, it's great. So we wanted to give him a nice mention. Negredo with a back heel for Besiktas. Quaresma with a brace of assists and then a penalty to round off a good performance for them. And so good stuff going on in the Turkish Super League. But guess what? Somebody's been on their travels again. So it's time to make the...
All right, Mr. Bauer.
Left work on Friday evening, jumped on a plane, went like this literally. It was a quick 1.5 hour flight to Atlanta. Atlanta United in action, another packed house at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and all the talk was about Joseph Martinez, the Venezuelan Viper, and a chance for him to break the all-time MLS single-season goal-scoring record, which is held by 3 players before this. Under Thomas Rongen, back in 1996, Roy Lassiter scored 27 goals, and he had a player by the name of Carlos Valderrama in behind him who hit 17 assists that season. That's who. Imagine Thomas Rongen managing Carlos Valderrama.
He sent him a video message during the World Cup.
Did he?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
man.
did.
I can't imagine that. But then in 2012, it was Chris Wondolowski. 2014, Bradley Roy Phillips hit 27. Joseph Martinez now has 9 more games. He reached 27 yesterday. 9 games to beat it. And the Venezuelan Viper, we call him a Viper because he'll just kind of meander around the field. He doesn't look that involved at times, and then pounces.
He's a really confident kid as well, right?
He's class. He reminds me so much of Bobo Vieri. We had a sit-down chat with him on Saturday for probably half an hour, and then when another player came along and it was time for Joseph to leave, he's like, "What, you kicking me out? No, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. I like to chat." He hates the media.
He's got the
Hates
same voice as
football.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, I'm Joseph Martinez is not from Russia. He's from Venezuela. Yeah, says he not the biggest fan of football. Like, he'll watch Real Madrid and Barcelona are the 2 teams. He is a Ronaldo fan over Messi. He loves the way Ronaldo plays.
You find that actually with a lot of professional young
exactly.
players, you hear them saying that.
Yeah,
I think
Mbappe's another example.
Yeah, I think as well with there's some players who are just naturally blessed with talent, and obviously Messi's that way, and all these players are. But I think the reference that Ronaldo gives into always working and trying to make the absolute best of yourself, your body, your lifestyle, everything, that is a good way. Not that Messi isn't, because he's also living a great life as well, and looking after himself and being at the very top year after year. But yeah, you do hear that a lot, that it's Ronaldo.
So a couple other things to note from Major League Soccer over the weekend. Siggy Schmidt and LA Galaxy hammered by Ziggy's old team and his old assistant coach, Seattle Sounders, 5-0. And while we're on the topic of LA Galaxy...
That's like when your ex comes in, like looking amazing after you let them go.
Exactly like that. Then, and by the way, when he got fired from Seattle, under Brian Schmetzer, they went on to win.
Soundly beaten.
Yeah, they went on to win MLS Cup. Sorry, that was terrible. And then, if Ziggy gets sacked again, can you imagine if LA Galaxy go on under another assistant to go win it? But Zlatan didn't play over the weekend. He's refusing to play on turf, on the AstroTurf. Had the ACL injury when he was at Manchester United. He's not playing at all. He's causing problems, Zlatan. Didn't want to play in the All-Star game, also on turf. He's getting pictured having fun with Ed Sheeran when his team are getting destroyed against the Sounders. Meanwhile, across the country, Wayne Rooney could not be better right now for his team. He's been phenomenal for DC United, who were in a ditch And he arrives in, and he's inspired players around him. His work rate's incredible. And they had another big win over the weekend, 2-0 against New England. So DC United are going to come from nowhere, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. And who knows what could happen then in their brand new stadium, Audi Field.
How can you not be happy for Wayne Rooney there?
Big time. Hey guys, let's power through the power rankings, will we?
We going straight in?
Yeah, we are.
Righty.
Let's start. Des, you're number 10.
Number 10.
It is a fellow by the name of Andre Silva, best eyebrows in world football.
I've lost my...
It's all right. We're going to let you get him. I've done your little roll here.
Where am I?
You don't need
There
scripts,
it is.
Des.
There it is,
we are.
Des.
Okay. Andre Silva, yeah, hat-trick. It took him
not
a
even looking at
full
the script.
season.
Not even looking at it.
Right,
Doesn't even need
I'm
it.
getting my own camera for this one.
All
Go
right.
on then.
All right, Andre Silva, hat-trick, day one of La Liga. First player to do it on his debut to score a hat-trick in La Liga.
All right, nice.
Ever.
Ever.
Are you making that up?
No.
First player
that's
to
a
score a
stat,
hat-trick on their debut in La Liga ever.
Uh-huh.
That seems like a waffle. Like that. Do we have a
What,
waffle?
you think that that's a common occurrence?
Now you've put the doubt in his mind, like
Now
last
you
week
have. You've
when you
got it
put
in
the
mind.
Lucas
I'm going to
Podolski
put it out there. I'm
assist.
going to put my reputation on the line
you
and say the
put-
first player ever to score La Liga
You
hat-trick.
put the Lucas Podolski assist to Andres Iniesta, a doubt in my mind, and I was correct in saying so. It was
You're
Lucas
trying to
Podolski
tell me that no
who
other player has
assisted
scored a
Iniesta.
hat-trick on their debut in La Liga in its history.
Yeah, it's quite an achievement, Kevin.
It is, but
All right.
A hat-trick is 3 goals, and you've never
Okay.
played in the league before.
How
so
many
it's-
newly promoted teams in the same season have won both of their opening games? Well, in Ligue 1, that has just happened with Nîmes and Reims keeping the pace with PSG. They are both in at number 9.
in at number 8 today, the great Leo Messi. He scored Barca's 5,000th goal. What was it, 9.5 years ago, and now. For him, 337 goals later. For Barca, 1,000 goals later, he scores their 6,000 and their 6,002.
Oh.
Quick
All
dance,
right.
Number
quick dance.
6, once we
Extra
turn off
time.
the...
Added time. Added time.
Once we can switch off the waffleometer. Cristiano Ronaldo, teammates, Khedira and Bernadeschi getting the win for Juve on opening weekend of Serie A action. The reigning champions on course to win an 8th straight Scudetto.
In
Got
at
it.
number 6, Yada. The Buffon-Weah-Thuram connection. In the late 90s, Gigi Buffon played with Lilian Thuram versus George Weah. Lilian's son, Marcus, played against Gigi on Saturday, and George's son, Tim, played with Gigi on Saturday, all in the same game. Hope you got that.
I'm confused, but yeah, sounds pretty good. Over the weekend, Harry Kane
Buffon's old.
finally scored in August. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Over 1,000 minutes of action for
We
Harry
wouldn't have
in
been
August.
waiting for it for a long time if everyone hadn't made such a big deal of it.
No, but it is a big deal.
Okay.
Harry Kane, start of the season, he's so prolific, but they win. They beat Fulham 3-0. Harry Kane on target.
When does
So
he
monkey off the back.
What month does he score his most goals in?
September.
Neely.
October.
Yes.
Yes. 1.
All right. Des.
Number 4, Santi Cazorla, a favourite of everyone's. After a very long spell out with a brutal injury, which Arsene Wenger said was the worst he'd ever seen, the smiliest man in world football returned to the playing field, although Villarreal did wind up losing 2-1 to Real Sociedad.
He's got a great
Not to
smile.
be. He
Up there
does.
with Miguel Almiron's.
He is awesome. And at number 3, Hero Immobile, one of the favourite players on the podcast, with an absolute worldy goal for Lazio, picking up where he left off in the goal scoring charts, but didn't win. But he is back in our power rankings, and we do love you, Chiro.
We love you, hero. In at number 2, Joseph Martinez. We mentioned it, equaling the record of 27 goals in Major League Soccer. He had a chance to hit for 28, and he set up a teammate instead. Says he doesn't care about the records. He showed us that clearly when he set up Miguel Almiron for his goal. Joseph's now scored in 8 straight MLS games. He is having quite the summer. Number 1.
Number 1. So, in a weekend full of feel-good stories, perhaps the feeliest, goodiest story was Mateo Silva making his
Nice.
Etihad Stadium debut in a 6-1 win for City, and Pop scored as well.
Yeah.
A beautiful free kick.
Baby
so good to see
Mateo.
him alive, fit and well.
Absolutely.
And he has more weight than his dad.
And that's a great sign as well. So, baby Mateo Silva, we salute you. And all of you for watching and listening to us here on Football Crazy Podcast. We've loved hearing from you all. Let us know if you have any questions for us here on the pod. Where you're watching as well. in the world, in North America.
Watching or listening, it's
Yeah.
still a podcast after all. So yeah, thank you, and we'll be here